And we're back once again, only on The Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol, only on thelastcallpodcast.com. And joining me here on location once again, well, it was a wild SummerSlam, and, well, we're just going to talk SummerSlam. AEW, we put them on hold. TNA, we're putting them on hold. We're focusing just on SummerSlam, because this man here, there was a lot of things to talk about. There were highs, there were lows, and I got to bring a guy back who... he makes me laugh, he makes me think, and sometimes he pisses me up, but I still love him. I give you the IWC's greatest enemy number one, wrestling podcaster, manager, booker extraordinaire. I give you JJ Joseph J. Alexander. So JJ, well, let's get on to some good stuff right away, because I want to piss you off, because we'll get into segments that piss you off. Let's talk about the main event of SummerSlam. Night 2.
Mm-hmm.
You liked it. This was Roman Reigns. It was Seth Rollins. It was a story that had a story behind it. Yes, it was safe, and I criticized, but overall, I can't complain. This was one of the better matches on the card. Is this their best match when you consider what they had to work with, what they tried to not do, and what they did in both their stages in their career?
Honestly, to date, I would probably say so, because I think at every other time that they faced each other, granted, there was always the built-in story. I think there was always a bunch of stuff added into the mix, whether it was, a third or even fourth person that was, skulking around the story at the time, or just interference, or, either, on behalf of the bloodline or behalf on whatever Seth's doing. This was just a solid match where a story was told, and there was, we got a hint of shenanigans, but they panned out, and we saw everything go over clean. And just, these two, they know each other inside and out, and they really told a solid, coherent, great story. And that's something that you don't always get to see nowadays in any company. So I think that, they deserve the credit that they got for, this, for the match itself and the aftermath, all being a good story that made sense.
Let's talk about the spot, and I say that where there's a ref bump, ref's knocked out, Seth is showing frustration, he goes to grab a steel chair, brings it in, and he gets, Roman, hits him with a Superman punch. Seth goes to the ropes. He stands up. Roman grabs a chair. We're thinking, oh, he's going to bash him. And he drops the chair, even though Rollins is surprised. That's been debated. Like, all right, so what does that mean? Is there too much meaning? You've had your take on it. So you like that spot that symbolizes sort of this end of a chapter in a lot of ways. Why?
Right. It's the end of the chapter of, I can do, like, it was, I don't need assistance. I can do it on my own, because that's been the story of Roman and Seth. Seth has been the unbeatable nemesis when it comes to pay-per-view / title matches. Is Roman could never beat Seth alone or without doing anything underhanded. And Roman saw this and said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on my own. And in the process also shows that Roman is not the heel that everyone seems to think he is. Because if he was a heel, he would have bashed his head in, freaking stack him, pin him, done. But he didn't. He said, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this the right way." It's the aha moment in the in the character's evolution.
Here's the one nitpick I have about this, and it sort of translates to the Raw afterwards. We still don't know what Roman is in terms of WWE, because here he's the babyface. He is the good guy or a tweener. Then on Raw, he's trash talking his cousins, saying, "Oh yeah, Solo should be here fetching my coffee, the Walmart watch." I mean, I know that there's Roman was great as a heel. I know there's people who want him to be the babyface because he's doing the not the Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter video game.
Yeah,
there's the merchandise. There's the OTC. Again, like should this take away that we still don't know what we're gonna get from Roman going forward, because creative doesn't know what they want with Roman going forward. Oh, let's make him a heel. Let's make him a face. We have no idea. Let's just keep him on the guessing game.
I think that's the point right now. I think when it comes down to it, I'm not going to say creative knows what they're doing with a whole lot of other things, but I think there's a definitive plan for Roman, and the guessing game is what's keeping everyone there. And that's why, it's he had the moment of redemption on Sunday, and then on Monday, once again, he's in there, he's face to face with LA Knight. LA's rattling off. Of course, Roman's going to get cocky on him because Roman's the cock of the walk. Like, LA Knight is a guy he was a big fish in a small pond in the NWA and in Impact. Like, he's not world champion material on this stage. No matter how much everyone wants to hem and haw, he's not. He should be happy that he has a job, that he's a solid hand. He's a mid card guy that can pop the crowd when his music hits. And Roman could have completely buried him. The bloodline could have come out during that. They could have beat him down again. They didn't. He stood there, and he even said, he was just like, you pinned my cousins. That's great. You haven't done anything else. Get to the back of the line, which is, it sounds like it's a dick move, but in reality, what has LA Knight done outside of win that 6-man to do it? It's the logic. It's all the pieces of the puzzle. We're seeing this over here and this over here, but you need to take a step back and look at the entire picture to really understand that not everything has been said yet. And that's why they keep everyone guessing, going, with, how that ended. Roman could have, kicked him in the dick and walked away. Didn't. LA Knight just kept running his mouth or whatever. Roman was just like, I don't care. And then the stuff with Jacob at the end of the night, where, yeah, Jacob went nuts because people want to see Jacob go nuts. Was it, was Jacob, and Jacob, I'm sure there will be some explanation as to why Roman said, okay. Like, and as like Jacob kept going until Roman's music hit, and then Roman came out and was like, all right, we're good. And then so people are like, oh no, heel bloodline, until Roman walks through that back door, and there's Ray, and he goes, okay, let's talk. Roman, if he was a heel, would have turned to Ray and said, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care about AAA, and just walked right past him. But he
And that's
didn't.
the question I have with creative. Like and again, I'm not trying to bury Triple H because that's the easy thing, and I get it. This smells of when there's too many chefs in the kitchen and they're going, yes, we want a steak, we want a prime rib meal, but hey, we want some Chinese food, and hey, we would love to have some pasta on that. And you're looking, going, mother, please, everybody, get the hell out. Like, on one hand, they're teasing, oh yeah, we're gonna do something for World's End, and hey, night two of Triple Mania. Like, again, this is my problem, creative, and also TKO, and it infects this match. Like, all right, this is done, but we still don't get a lot because, again, everybody's starting to, as you mentioned before during your live chat on, Full Circle Radio, too many chefs, too many, project managers,
Yeah.
business people,
Focus groups. Oh, yeah.
focus groups, KSAs. Like, does this hurt everything? Because there's no clear answer afterwards. Because yeah, this is a great match, but we don't know where Seth is going. Roman's playing corporate, spokesman slash heel slash babyface slash mainstream star, and it's like, okay, oh, there's more questions than answers, and it just feels like everybody wants something, but nobody wants the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, it's also, they know that they can get the casual fan to keep guessing, and they've definitely got the internet second guessing, because as it was, apparently everyone, including myself, was wrong about what that little nod between Roman and Ray was equal to. I said Triple Mania because I figured they just got they got the bigger venue in Vegas for night one. That would definitely sell more tickets. Everyone else and their mother said it's going to be for Worlds Collide so they can counter program A. Turns out everyone was wrong. And it turns out it's to get some eyes on AAA and with this tournament, and whoever wins the tournament gets to face Roman for the title on Raw in Mexico City. Like, everyone was wrong.
Well, let's see. We still could be right about Triple Mania. We could see like the end of this tournament might end on Triple Mania night too, and Roman comes out and goes, "Hey, so again, they don't even
Yeah,
know yet. They're still just like, oh, let's see how much money we can get. That's all they care about here.
right.
Let's get back to Seth. Like, where does he go? Because again, it's like this feels like the end of a chapter. Everybody agrees, and Seth is now sort of like, okay, well, Braun's in the tag team. Oba's a baby face. There's no the Bloodline's tied up with their own thing with this coalition. So if you're Seth, does Seth disappear for a while? And again, like, do they
That's
have
a
a plan for him?
that's a good possibility. This could have been Seth taking some time, much needed time off. Like, that, time off where he's, taking time off, that he can, not because he has to. And I think that might have been a changing of the guard moment because, now Seth can take some time off to be the family dad because Becky's back. And this way, not both of them have to be on the road at the same time.
All right. So what was your grade for this match on a scale of A to F? Was it a B plus, A minus, C?
I
Like, how would you grade it?
I give it a solid A minus.
All right. This had you just pissed. This was a second crash out I left. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get to the first one later on because that one had me almost falling over my chair. But this one, you were just on fire where you're like, oh my God, they're no selling like AEW. Oh my God, they missed a spot. Oh my God, why is it a Hell in a Cell?
Right. And I think it's been collectively known that everyone thought this match was ass.
Well, there's a lot of people gave it good grades. They gave it a B plus. So
That's
let's start with
nice.
Let's start with you first. Why did you not like this match, even though it's a changing of the guard? Also,
It's number one, it's the third match in a quote unquote feud that's literally only been going on for 5 months.
that's a long time in WWE now.
It is, but not when one of the guys is Brock Lesnar, who shows up whenever the hell he wants. Like, if this was to be a trilogy of matches in a 5 to 6 month period with two guys who are on TV every week and like working matches every week and like screwing with each other's matches and all that stuff, that would be a long story. That would be different. This was literally, it was, we're going to start here, have a middle here, have an end here. And there was really zero reason for this to be a Hell in a Cell match. Like, they seem to bank on, okay, well, we haven't done a cell match in 2 years. Okay, we can say Brock is undefeated in the cell, even though he's only had two Hell in a Cell matches, both against the same person, and 15 years apart in between those. And then they didn't even use the damn cell. Like, it's like my boss. My boss used to tell me when I was training, every time they would throw a cage match up willy willy, like, why are you going to have a cage match if you're not going to use the cage and no one's going to bleed? And I obviously understood you can't have everyone bleed. AEW fucking prove that. But you can't just throw in a stipulation just because you think, okay, we'll throw the gimmick on and it'll sell the match. Because none of the three matches these guys had was anything spectacular. And I don't care what anyone says. They weren't. The first match was 6 minutes. The second match was 5 minutes. This went 11 and change. And I know that I've been one of the people to say, if you can't get over in 8 minutes, you're not going to get over in 20. But these are matches where they were all the same. They were all the same. It was, this guy knows three moves. This guy only does three moves. And that's the match. It's boring. It's boring. And eventually people are going to start seeing through that. And this is why people get mad and think I'm, pulling, when I start calling Obafemi Ryback. Go back and look at the monster push Ryback got back in 2011, 2012, when Ryan Reeves came back from injury and they're like, okay, we're going to push this guy. It was the same match every time. At least he was doing squash matches against freaking indie guys they were bringing in. Like, but it was the same match every time. And then when they had to actually put him in there with someone, he couldn't work a match where he did more than three things. That's going to be the same thing with Obafemi, whether people want to admit it or not. 10 years from now, you're going to look back, people are going to start getting mad because that's just the way it is. And Brock, I have not been impressed with Brock since he first showed back up on Raw in 2012. Like I was just like, I didn't care for him before that. And once he had gotten first back in the ring, and all we saw was, all Brock does now is German suplexes before he does the F5. Like Brock Lesnar, back when you saw Brock versus Kurt Angle in an Iron Man match on SmackDown, which is a phenomenal match compared to Brock Lesnar that you see now. No, 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 it's boring. So you've got two guys, one who can't work and one who refuses to work in a gimmick match where they don't use the gimmick. And Brock literally just decides to reenact him versus Taker 2 with him in the Taker role, which was so blatantly obvious. Like, this shows that, this is my problem with them, like, oh, Brock is taking Oba under his wing. So this is what you're going to teach him to do? I can't come up with anything, so I'm just going to recycle a match I did 10 years ago. Like, no. I weep for the future if this is what we're going to get. Because it's just, people want to bitch all the time about the 80s and how everyone was roided up and, the matches where it was all punch kick or whatever. Not true, number one. But at least then guys told stories. Neither of these guys knows how to tell a story. And then the match itself was, the only reason it went as long as it did was because there was a lot of garbage stuff on the outside. There was a lot of huffing and puffing because they were both blown up. And then you have this big palooka no-sell a fucking tombstone on the exposed boards. Get up and then go to give his finish, and you can tell the finish was supposed to be, okay, now I take your finisher on the exposed boards for the exclamation point, and this fucker couldn't find an exclamation point on a fucking keyboard. It was terrible. It was god-awful.
All right, well, again, some people liked it because it was a Haas fight. We don't get many of those now in pro wrestling because there's not many Haas's around. So this is now the question with Obafemi going forward. The long-term plan is probably him and Roman at Saudi Mania, because if anybody thinks The Rock's going to Saudi Arabia, I have a bridge to sell you over in Nebraska and some swampland property in North Dakota.
I don't know if we're going to see Oba and Roman. I don't know if we're going to see that.
That's the plan. So what do we do going forward now with Oba? Because, again, Brock is retired. And just like Seth, there's no real plan because people are tied up. Like, they're teasing Braun Breaker versus Oba, which I have reservations about right now.
Uh-huh.
But who do you put him in with? Do you give him Gunther? Do you give him Aldis?
No. You can't give him anyone. I've been saying this for months. I've been saying, okay, once he's done with Brock, what do you do with him? Because you can't go anywhere else with him. If this kid was seasoned going into this feud with Brock and then they smacked him over hard, then you could say, all right, this kid is a made man. Now we can start teasing him in the world title picture. This kid has no seasoning. This kid is so fucking green. He should be in my garden out back. And and creative doesn't know what to do with him either, as proven by they had him come out and cut a nothing promo. They had commentary go, oh, well, what's next for Obafemi, blah, blah, blah. And then they just do that tease of him and Braun staring at each other, which that match, if you thought this match sucked, that match is really going to fucking suck. Because Braun Breaker is fucking as green as Obafemi because he never learned anything other than fucking how to do this, that, and that, which is, but people have freaking rose-tinted glasses because he's a diner. And The two of them are going to stink up the joint. You put them in there against each other. I guarantee it'll be a whole bunch of nonsense, like the first time they face each other, of run-ins by Logan Paul and Austin Theory and blah blah blah, and probably a big schmoz finish or something like that. But it's going to be a terrible match, and yeah, and it's like everyone's like, oh, they're going to split off Braun Breaker from Austin Theory, and Braun Breaker is going to be a babyface. Where the fuck are you people getting this? Like, they're the tag champions. Yeah, Austin Theory is getting more eyes on him right now. One, because they put him with Maxine Dupree. Yes, I will give him that. You put a hot chick with a good-looking guy, people pay attention. But number two, Austin Theory has personality. Braun Breaker does not. I don't care what anyone says. And I didn't even get to this because we fast forwarded it a bit. But the problem with the end of this cell match, tell me, please, when in the history of the Hell in the Cell concept, when has there ever been a respect spot hug between the two guys who are supposed to be killing each other after a Hell in a Cell match? When?
I don't know, but we'll get to that later on this card because there was a lot of that respect thing going on, which
Sometimes it was deserved. Between this, no, it wasn't. The whole point of Hell in a Cell is I want to kill you. That doesn't automatically end with a 1, 2, 3. That is, I killed you. I kicked the dust on you. Fuck off. I'm gone. Not, I'm going to hug you because you're the future.
okay, we gotta move on because you're gonna get an aneurysm, and I will feel bad and trust me, people, there will be another aneurysm coming soon, and I'll start laughing. All right, so Punk versus Cody. Some people loved it. Some people, like myself, were like, oh, this is kind of long. So let's talk about the return heel. Who is he really a heel? But no, crowd doesn't want to do that. Randy Orton is back. Thank God. So we're moving on from Punk and Cody, which people like you were going, babyface, babyface. Why is this happening? Oh, yes, because they are freaked. Because they're trying to sell tickets. Orton is back, so they're telling the story of Cody and Orton without the title. That's the good news.
Hopefully.
Bad
We have
news
to see
is
what Friday
again,
brings.
like we're still in this plan where, and maybe this will change because Cody's no longer the title picture. But what happens when when you're trying to get a heel over and the crowd ain't gonna boo him? And again, your thoughts on this? Because again, Randy Orton is trying to do something which right now people just aren't gonna buy. Become a bad guy in 2026.
And I mean, and I think the thing is, Randy Orton is one of those guys where under the correct circumstance, Randy could absolutely be a diabolical heel that people would believe. The problem is when they chose to turn Randy months ago was the wrong time to do it and against the wrong person because everyone wanted heel Cody because Randy was the most over as a babyface he has ever been. And that's including in my eyes. I was bored with Randy Orton for years until basically like the tail end of him and Matt Riddle teaming, and then he having to take off, coming back, looking great, having a good time, and I was just like, this guy's got the fire that he used to have, and the crowd saw it, and he was so over as a baby face, and the fact that they were just like, nope, Cody doesn't want to turn heel, so we're going to turn Randy heel. That's why the crowd didn't buy it. If you had been in there and you had done it where like Randy was super over babyface and you had like and you had him you had him over with some Javon Evans who was a super over babyface and then Randy like freaking just turned on him and punted him in the head, the crowd would hate him. There would be no doubt he would be the diabolical heel that you needed. But they had him turn on the wrong person. They had him turn on the person that they wanted people to be the heel. And so now going forward, yeah, hopefully we're getting this Orton and Cody feud that doesn't involve the title. Hopefully. Here's the problem. We had some returns. Now we've got it's the misdirection of okay, so this is how they're going to go forward. People need to realize that the next PLE is Money in the Bank. And I even said during that during that Contenders 4-way, I said, whoever doesn't win here, the other three that are in it are going to be part of that Money in the Bank match. I can guarantee it's going to be those three people, Cody, Randy, and someone else. And I think we're going to get the saddest fucking thing in the world where Cody gets the fucking briefcase.
So let's get to the match itself. Some people liked it. I just thought it was plotting. And look, both these guys are in the end of their careers, and they try to tell a different story. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, so try to correct me. It's just unlike Roman versus Seth, where there was at least some heat because both guys had a history of not liking each other. This just felt like they're speeding things up, and oh yeah, now they hate each other after previous couple weeks. There was no hate, so again, I get it. It's a title. Again, you need to pick a villain, but neither was a villain. It was, there was also the moonsault spot, which was kind of comical. Look, hey, he did it better than I could do, so I can't make fun of Punk, but it was still ugly. I mean, again, some people talk me out of here because right now there's people like, oh, this was a minus match, and I'm looking going, this was kind of just a long match where it just went on and on and on, and neither guy really. There was never this sort of like turn where one was dastardly than the other.
I can't talk you out of it because this match was a slog. This match was bad. There was nothing good about this match. And that's not just because I don't care for either guy in it. I can objectively sit back and put my personal shit aside and look at that. It was just a bad match. And then if you're just looking at it, it's because this match, it's both of them politicked for it. They wanted, you can tell both of them politicked backstage for this match. They're the ones that got in Bruce Pritchard's ear saying the title needs to be involved. And then when they went out there, this match was for two people. Whether they want to say, oh, it was a big selling point or not, this match was for two people. And those two people were Phil Brooks and Cody Runnels. This was a match for them to give a fucking middle finger to Tony Khan saying, you could have had this as the main event of All In, but you chose to not sign one of us and fire the other, not re-sign one of us and fire the other. And then them, because of their gigantic egos, going, hey, you know how you have your pay-per-views where these guys go freaking 45 minutes and no one cares at the end? We're going to go 40 minutes and people are going to care. And sure enough, nobody fucking cared. We needed a Randy Orton run-in to save this match because nobody cared.
All right, so again, we'll get to Punk and his title defense going forward later on because that story ties in. But again, I look at this with Punk the same way I look with Orton. Can you turn either guy heel? Or does the crowd love them too much where they could literally punt a baby seal and people go, hey, that baby seal's a creeper. He deserves getting punted in the head.
It's not too late to fully turn Orton heel, but you're not going to be able to do it until you get him away from Cody. Like, if you try to further his motivations of a heel while he's still in a program with Cody or anywhere adjacent to Cody, it's not going to work. Because Cody is the one that should be getting booed right now. And everybody knows it. I mean, in all honesty, as much as I hate how the kids have been getting shoved down our throats, you could turn Randy Orton in an eel. Randy Orton in an eel. You could turn Randy Orton into a heel that will be believable instantly by literally just having him go out and punt Danhausen's head into the third row. And every kid in that audience would cry. And then you're off to the races. But if Randy's still in a program with Cody while it's happening, no one's going to care.
And CM Punk?
It's
like this crowd refused to almost boo him. And I get it. They finally got him back after 10 years away from WWE, or longer, you could argue. Again, they got their wish. So he should be a heel. That's his best work. But can they turn him, or is he just going to be this baby face, as you said, Jimmy Duggan, where he can do better? But this crowd, again, they won't turn on him no matter what.
And that's the thing is, I think if they try to present it towards, we want to turn you, he's going to say no. I think he's gotten that. I think because he's an egomaniacal prick. And I think he's gotten to that point where he's like, no, no, I'm going out on top because I'm going to go against the grain of what everyone else, who came before me in this business has done. And I'm going to go out on top and I'm going to go out on a high note. Like that's what he seems to think is going to be him. He's going to run out the rest of his contract being the head baby face and probably like I wouldn't put it past him to try to retire with a damn belt and then go, wait and then go into the Hall of Fame in 2028 because God well he's not going to do it in 2027 in Saudi Arabia.
All right. This.
This bitch.
I tried holding it off, but I mean, again, if you were checking out the live stream, I was crashing out from dying laughter. DJ of the heel was ecstatic, and JJ was Apple. He was going nuclear. This was like no, no, no. And when she got the interim women's championship, I laughed my ass off. He was cursing a storm, shaking his head. DJ was in euphoria. That was 3 different reactions. So I'm going to let you rate because I know you hated this. This is the one where you went, I hate this of everything. This got you an F on the whole WrestleMania card. Even worse than Danhausen because, as he said, how? Just how? So I'm letting you get. Here's the floor, JJ. I'm gonna be quiet and let you just rant on this.
Here's what's really bad. I've never been big on Chelsea Green. Like I never like. I always thought that she was one of those like indie darlings who I never really figured out why, and then like she got, they put her, she got signed to NXT and I was just like, and then they put her on the main roster and I was like, and I was like, I was like, what the hell is this bitch's gimmick? And I was actually starting to warm up to her at the beginning of 2026. I was just like, okay, she's doing some character work. All right. Okay. Okay. She's a solid mid-carder. All right. She's not as bad as I originally thought. And then April happened and her birthday happened. And all of a sudden, an Instagram post came out of Marty Skrull dressed as Chelsea Green, wishing her a happy birthday. And the first comment on it was her going, "Oh my God, I love this. Bitch, why are you friends with a sex offender?" Like, no. Like, quite literally, you work for a publicly traded company. Shit on the internet lasts forever, as we have found out how many hundreds of thousands of times. Quite literally, you are in a position right there where there's a dude who no one is touching it for goddamn good reason. The first thing I would have done, number one, if I was friends with him on Instagram, I would have made sure that I was not friends with him on Instagram anymore. I would not have made a comment. I would have gone directly to my social media and said, I have no association with the person who tagged me in a post on Instagram earlier today. And I have not had any association with this person in quite some time. And that should have been the end of it. But no, this was fine. This was fine. And this was April. This was 4 months ago. So it's not like this happened 5-6 years ago. This was 4 fucking months ago. This guy got blackballed from the business 6 years ago. Like, and then you go and I don't care if it's a real title. I don't give a fuck. This is the image that lasts. Is this chick holding a belt? This chick being a representative of your company in some way, shape, or form, holding one of your 2 top women's titles in some way, shape, or form. And no, that's not a good PR look. As a businessman, as a promoter, I cannot accept this. This is not acceptable. And for how many people they have, fucking focus groups and fucking merch sell, all that stuff, and people sitting in and making sure everything is a public relations freaking smooth sail, for this to go through just because when they filmed season 2 of Unreal, it was before April, And the nugget was put in there of having Michael Hayes say she'll never be world champion just so they could do this. Because Unreal is a giant fucking work. I'm sorry. But no, just because this was your plan and you don't want to deviate from your plan, guess what? You find out this person's friends with a pedophile, you stop that plan. That's business. And and this is what I hate too is I called it out. I went back and found because Machiavelli on Twitter was the first person to call it out when it happened, and I commend them for it. So I boosted their signal again. And then, quite literally, all basement goblins come out telling me, shut the fuck up, blah, blah, blah. Why is it wrong to be friends with someone? Why is it wrong to be friends with someone that's a pedophile? What? Let me count the ways. No. This was the dumbest thing they could have done. And just because it hasn't come back to haunt them in the 4 days since it happened doesn't mean it's not. And they're going to have to course correct really fucking quick.
We'll get to her win in a bit, but let's talk about the match, which you, I, and a lot of people agreed was sort of just.
It was awful.
It was ugly. And again,
it was a car crash, and not in a good way.
Charlotte Flair did everything she could to help with this. Jade Cargill did a decent job, but Tiffany is, as we said, is still a bit green, and Lash Legend, that was not a good night for her. So, again, I look at this, and just like, again, as you mentioned with Oba and Brock, was this creative going, all right, hey, we can throw anything out there. It'll be fine. And then you realize, no,
yeah,
should have put a couple more veterans in there rather than
right.
Two green people, a comedic wrestler, Jade, who still is hit or miss, and just rely on Charlotte to be the quarterback and direct traffic at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Like, and it's unless the story going forward on Friday is for Nia Jax to come out and lay out Chelsea right away because, the whole thing of I got screwed out of my qualifying matches. Like, why did we do this? Because no one wants to see Chelsea Green versus Rhea because no one's going to cheer Chelsea over Rhea. Like, there's one capable person in that match, and that was Charlotte. Chelsea Green is a mid-carder at best, and everyone else is terrible. And I just don't understand. Like, I didn't get why. I was like, number one, it's a 5-way. How many times have we seen a 5-way anything? Like as a booker, 5 ways are a nightmare. You do a 4-way, you do a 6-pack. You don't do a 5-way. They never work out right. And just made it, and they made it a ladder match so that no one had to get pinned, which I hate. I hate that bit where it's like, we're going to throw in a whole bunch of people, but we want to protect them. So we have to make sure they don't get pinned. No, one pin in the grand scheme of things does not hurt someone. And because if you are able to rebuild them after that pin, then in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. See Julia 6 months from now. But it was bad. It was so bad. And it shouldn't have been on the card. The wrong person went over. None of the right people were in the match. Like, honestly, like, unless they were going to put this on Charlotte, I don't understand why, because they want to keep pushing Charlotte versus Jade. But because, eventually Bruce Pritchard is going to speak up and go, oh, this needs to have a title. Because that's the only move in fucking Bruce's fucking box of gimmicks. This needs to have a title to make it more important. And this is just not a good look at all.
I get why not putting on Charlotte and Jade, because again, they can work a feud without it being for a title. I get it. I get you can't put it on Tiffany Stratton because then you have a double champion. That's the last thing I think she needs right now. Especially when you possibly have a feud with Blake Monroe coming up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I definitely know why you can't put on Lash because there's a multitude of reasons. I'm gonna leave the whole Marty Skull thing out of here because I'm gonna try to be a bigger man, whatever that means. I'm trying to turn a new leaf here. This just feels like two things. One, it's Triple H rewarding somebody who's the company girl, which I get, but still, like, all right, great, you show up all the time, you do all the stuff. There's a lot of people probably would do that, and they're not even on TV. And two, it's them going, hey, look, we get to promote Unreal when Michael P.S. Hayes is saying, oh, yeah, I don't see Chelsea Green as a star. And now, as you said, she wins the interim title because Ray is still injured. We have no idea when Ray's coming back. And the first thing she does when she goes on the post-match show is she dedicates it to Michael Hayes. Like, again, this just feels like the wrong reason. It's A, she's beloved by the head of creative, which is Paul Levesque. Two, she's a loyalty person. And three, hey, we get to tie in Unreal, which, hey, another show. Check it out.
In all honesty, number 3 is the only bullet point that exists. It was a stupid idea come up by someone on the creative team who went, hey, why don't we do this? But we need to have a reason for it. Hey, I know. We'll put in Unreal that Michael doesn't think she can do it. So that way we can actually have her win it. And then we can be like, oh, look at this. And it's corporate synergy. It's the worst form of corporate synergy. That's all this was.
Let's get to some positives. This was probably the second best match of the night. Penta versus Gable. Look, it had no business on paper because, again, there's no heat. It's two baby faces. Again, it is for the IC title. And again, there's been no heat with that because Penta really hasn't had a feud. You could argue he can sink his teeth into since he won the belt. But this was a damn good match. This was everything you wanted in terms of, can the hometown kid do it? Can there be redemption? Can Penta, turn back the clock? And they focused on body parts. As a traditional wrestling fan, you, Joseph J. Alexander, was this everything you want in a wrestling match with, considering what I walked into? Was this even better than Roman versus Seth?
I don't know if it was better than Roman versus Seth. I still think this was an amazing match. But it was great for different reasons. Roman and Seth had a built-in history. So they had a lot more meat on the bone for storytelling. These two guys, granted, there was some story there because it was still technically, it's the epilogue to the Chad Gable story. It's, the entire Grande Americano thing went through and everything. And, the end happened. He lost the mask. He started apologizing to the luchadors. And then the epilogue was the fullness of the redemption arc was, now can I stay this way? And to have him and Penta go out there and two clashing styles, because, for all intents and purposes, like Chad threw on a mask. He didn't start learning how to work lucha. Like, he still worked Chad Gable, which was nothing wrong with. So two clashing styles going out there for two guys to just go out, have a match where there was psychology to it. You had to eliminate the babyface heel dynamic because they were both baby faces. It still worked. It worked well. And the match had a great pace. I mean, that's, like when I can turn and just start calling play-by-play and not have to worry about gaps, but also not have to go 1,000 miles a minute where they're doing too much. Like they kept it at an even pace, but they kept it fast enough for the crowd to stay engaged. And then we have a finish with no shenanigans. We have, this is where the respect spot was called for because it was the matter of, yeah, Chad had gone around and apologized to everyone, but did he truly have the respect of all the Mexican wrestlers? And Penta, as the figurehead, says, yes, you are. And they let him come in the ring with his family. And I know DJ complained about, like, is his family going to be there for everything? I was like, no. His family was there in Mexico City. because that was his low. That was the low point at the end of the story. This is the high point during the epilogue, and it's good for his family to be there for him, both when he loses everything for lack of a nuance, and then when he gains everything. And on top of it, because yeah, like Penta's been, they put the Intercontinental belt on Penta. It elevated Penta. They kind of had a cluster going of who was going to face Penta since he won it, because it's been a revolving door and they really hadn't focused on a single person. Now with Chad Gable there, Penta can go on and do some more other stuff, which they're probably going to have him start working with his brother again for a little bit, because Penta's over and will remain over. And this is now to make sure to see, okay, now we're finally putting a singles belt on Chad, which, people say we should have been doing for years, and they probably should have. They probably should have given him some chances, at least with a mid-card title in the past. That didn't happen. So now we get to see if it works. And by all intents and purposes, by the way the crowd reacted in Des Moines the next night, it seems to be sticking, which is good. So yeah, solid match. I mean, like I said, like Seth and Roman, I enjoyed more for a different dynamic, but technically, like this was a better blow by blow match. But they're both excellent. I have no complaints at all.
You mentioned earlier, and I want to bring this up. Oh, it's not really, they don't do a lucha style. Do they though? In terms of they're not Rey Mysterio. They're not even a little bit Eddie Guerrero, but not that much. But when you talk about lucha libre, you always talk about guys like Octagon, Perro Aguayo, Conan.
Mm-hmm.
They work that
Mm-hmm.
kind of style that those guys do. So again, is this more lucha? Is this true lucha libre where it's more technical, where it's more fast paced, a lot of counters, a lot of kicks, a lot of sort of mix of a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of European strong style mixed with lucha, where it's all right. Yeah, we're not going to do jumping off and moonsaults and all that everywhere, but we can fly a little bit. Which, as you said, it's fast paced. Everything is smooth. It was just like when you noticed it, you didn't notice a botch. You didn't notice, as you said, slow periods because they could just go and everything felt still. Like all right, as smooth as watching a ballet dance.
Yeah, it was. I've never really been a fan of the term, but if there were ever a time to use it, would be here. This would be a perfect example of hybrid style, where the two styles clashing together to make something that works and nothing is disjointed.
This is, I guess, the one concern I have for both guys.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't the monster lurking or the big villain lurking that they had to take on next. Like right now, they're going to try with Chad Gable with Dominic Mysterio, who we'll get to later and is very cold. You said Penta will work with his brother, which is great, but it's like, all right, we don't see him challenging Roman yet, if ever. You can't really shove him in with the bloodline. There isn't, Ethan Page is still losing, so it's like, well, what do they do with Penta? It's like, he's over like Rover, but do they need to figure out, okay, we need an arch villain because, again, there is no feud. He's done this on his own without, the help of a Seth character or a, Gunther character or even a Roman character. Like, eventually he needs, a Frazier to his Ali where there is somebody you want to have, like, a feud with. And they don't have that right now on the roster, it seems.
Not
What's
that we've
available?
seen. Not that we've seen, but there's possibilities. And like I said, I think they're going to be I think they're going to try using Penta to try to going into the next block of stuff with AAA. They're going to try having Penta get featured a bit in AAA more to make sure those houses are up for the next big for AAA and for Worlds Collide. And like I said, I think that may involve getting back together with his brother, and that may translate into him and his brother going for a tag run, like on the main show, not in AAA. So there's possibilities. I mean, Penta can still kind of, work his way through. And as far as Gable goes, like he can, it'll be a fresh batch of people for him to face to defend the IC title. And I mean, he could very well throw Big Cass into there. and do something there. We'll see.
All right. Speaking of, we'll see where all this goes. Because on paper, there were low expectations, and then all of a sudden, we're like, "Holy crap! This is the best match on the card." Now, granted, it got passed by Roman and Seth and Gable and Penta, but in some ways, it still was. If you don't like high flying, if you don't like, the bells and whistles, if you want an old school, as JJ and Kevin Apollo would say, if you want an old school throwback match to how wrestling used to be done, this was it. This was Nick Aldis and Gunther. Should this have been as good as it was, or were even you surprised? Like, holy crap, they pulled it off. Even though Nick Aldis hasn't wrestled in a couple of years, Gunther, is just supposed to be miles level and doesn't cheat. Like, again, were you surprised at how well this turned out?
I'm not, because I knew going into it this match was going to be the sleeper hit. Well, I said that numerous times. Like, I knew, like, yeah, granted, it's been 3 years since Nick Aldis has had a full blown match, but he's always stayed in great shape. And I guarantee he was down at the PC on days off, working on stuff and doing mock matches with people, getting whatever ring rust was there off. I knew this was going to be a solid match. Like, I was extremely happy with it, and I'm very glad. I think I think it proved he delivered. I saw a lot of people trying to compare this to when Nigel McGuinness came back out during All In. I don't think there's any comparison, because it's ah, there's just no comparison. Aldis's return was seen as a bigger impact, and it meant something. It wasn't just there for the sake of being there. They had him built into a story for it to happen.
So let's talk about Aldis' future, because again, this is now the elephant in the room. He is bigger and stronger than, I'd argue, 90% of the roster.
Mm-hmm.
They went back and said, well, he's still the GM.
Yeah.
Right now he's doing his GM duties. How long does that last for? Because again, if you're Paul Levesque, if you are Paul Heyman, if you are William Regal, and you're looking around like, oh crap, a lot of young kids. We need to elevate some people. We need to help teach people. We also need guys who can work with veterans
Right.
who don't want to get hurt. How long do they keep Nick Aldis as the GM, and when do they just go, all right, let's screw this? You're full time because, hey, Nick Aldis versus Sami Zayn, that can sell. Nick Aldis
Mm-hmm.
versus Drew McIntyre, the match finally, that can
Mm-hmm.
sell. Hey, Nick Aldis versus a heel Cody Rhodes, or even better, a heel Randy Orton who's terrorizing his family. Man, that can sell. Like, again, how long do they keep Nick Aldis the GM when he, as you said, he looks more physically imposing than most of the roster?
Right. And yeah, it's everyone seems to think they're like, oh, well, he was reinstated and then he did the thing at the beginning. None of that means anything. It's all in the same weekend. Like I said, I feel like if not this Friday, anytime soon, we're gonna get a promo from him where he's gonna say, I got back in there and I realized that this is what I love the most, and I relinquish my role as GM. Like, it's the only thing that makes sense. The dude's 38 years old. As I said, you can get 5 solid years of full-time work out of this guy, because he's obviously stayed healthy in the 3 years since he hasn't had a match. He was never really injury prone back when he was fully active. And there's a plethora of possibilities for a guy that's already there, already on your payroll, to be able to work things, because not only can he work a good match, but he can tell a story. He's got personality. And you cannot go back to having him have his nuts cut off, where, especially now where it's become very cliche for when someone's losing their mind or we need a pull apart or something, the refs come running out and the producers come running out, and you've got Hurricane Holmes, who isn't going to want to take a bump, and I don't blame him for it. You got Jason Jordan, who can't take a bump. You got Jamie Noble, who's a little guy. You can't have Nick Aldis out there looking jacked as fuck and be like, oh yeah, no, just no, don't do this. Don't do it. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, Nick Aldis needs to just turn and throw a haymaker. That's what everyone's going to be saying the next time they try to do a pull apart and Nick Aldis is out there. Why is this guy not throwing haymakers and freaking and slamming people outside the ring? You gave them this, you gave them the taste. Now you need to feed the addiction. And having him be GM is not going to do that. And I don't care what anyone says about no, they already said that, he's back to being the GM. So this is a one-off. He's retired. He ain't retired by sight. Not at all.
So before we go to the match, one more final question on this: why didn't they sign him earlier? I mean, he's been available since he left TNA. He went to NWA, and again, I get it. Sometimes people aren't ready, but everybody always said that Nick Aldis, you know, should have been in WWE years ago. What took so long? Like even Triple H, what took him so long? It took 3 years for him to not wrestle. Now go, oh yeah, we're gonna put you in a match when this just in some ways it makes WB look worse. Like, oh, you had this guy, you didn't let him wrestle, you just put him as a GM. What the hell are you people thinking?
I believe I think it was a two I think it was a two-pronged argument. I think it was Nick saying, I want to be able to spend the max amount of time with my family as possible. So I can commit to 1 day a week for, TV and, 1 p.m. a month if you need me. But I would like to spend time with my family. I'd like to spend as much home as possible. And I also think that he was probably brought in by Trips under the guise of, we'll make you the GM for 6 months and then we'll have you break out and start working. And they just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until eventually they were like, why have we been sitting on this so long? We need to do something about this. And they pulled the trigger. Now, hopefully they realize that, because I even said like this match was going to be the litmus test to see if there would be enough of a reaction for Nick Aldis, and there was. So they need to keep going with it. I even said on DJ and Heel's post show where I was like, he could just sit there and, say, I had my family in the ring afterwards and I looked at my wife's eyes and I had my son on my shoulder and my son just turned and whispered in my ear and he said, go get him, daddy. And that's all the motivation I need. Like, you've got your human interest. You've got a guy that looks great, who can work, who can tell a story. It's like all of the pieces are there. Just do it. You have all the ingredients to make the cake on your counter. Bake the fucking cake.
This is a criticism by The Undertaker once on Gunther. And the more I think about it, the more it will probably come true. He's not really a heel when you look at the way he wrestles. He never does anything dastardly. He never
Yeah.
does anything to cheat. He's just
Mm-hmm.
an old school sort of, I'm going to beat you up.
Right.
Does he have to do that? Because eventually people will start maybe respecting him and liking him more because he can't retire everybody because, well, you can't just force people to retire. You've run out of people to do that. He himself, I know, keeps strictly to the gimmick, but again, like, does there have to be a point where he needs to really become more dastardly? Because you could argue he's a babyface wrestler in a sense. He does it for respect. He doesn't believe in having an army. He's even said he doesn't want to have an Imperium 2.0. Does he need to do something to be that next level heel? Because he truly really isn't a heel. If he doesn't cheat, doesn't do anything dastardly, he just wrestles clean.
I don't think so. Because the whole thing is, since he's been Walter, like the indies up through the UK, up through NXT UK, up through the main roster, like that's his thing is he beats you without needing to do anything underhanded, but he has the look about him where he's got the face you love to hate. And they tried a couple of times. I think it was during his Intercontinental title reign where they did some things where he ended up going over dirty and it was not working out because it goes completely against the character itself. Is the mat is sacred to me and I will do anything to defend that. So for him to do anything underhanded, it cuts the character back. You can have someone who just is unliked and doesn't have to go over dirty. But because you have a guy like him who's just a world beater. I mean, look at I hate to say this, but look at Brock. Brock would, when he was in his initial heel run, like way back, way back, rookie heel run,
Yes.
was just coming out smashing guys. And all it took was him to go over a couple of the big baby faces, and it was just like, this guy's a fucking monster, and we hate him. Like, they flipped him because they had to at the time, because he was starting to get over. But Gunther is one of those guys, because of how methodical he is, where if the crowd starts like getting behind, like, it's like, because obviously, like, the crowd's going to pop when he throws a chop, because they know that, he's about to chop some guy's soul out of his body. But if the crowd starts waiting for it and wanting it, Gunther knows to pull it back and not do it, because he's like, no, I'm not going to give you what you want. And that's the nuance of being a heel without having to do dirty tactics. It's holding that very fine line with the crowd of, you hate me and this is why, and I'm going to make sure you remember why you hate me, and I'm not going to do anything different to deter from that.
Should he do that once in a while, though? Because again, that's always the concern. Is like, all right, well, then how does he never like everything? Just feels like, all right, well, I'm never going to show like fear. I'm never going to show this desperation. And again, it's tough to then show like, all right, well, then if everything just feels robotic because they can do everything, like, there is always that moment where every even heel resorts to it when it's like, oh crap, I've thrown everything in a kitchen sink. I can't beat this guy. I need to do something. Like, does Gunther need to do that, or is he just too refused to do? As he said, this is what he believes in, to his detriment or for his benefit. He will stick with being the monster heel who never has to cheat. Does he eventually have to do that? Because that would have made maybe this match better, where there is that moment where he just looks at Nick and realizes, crap, this guy is much better. I've underestimated. I got to cheat because I did the cardinal mistake. I overlooked my opponent.
If he had done this in this match in particular, I think I would have forgiven it, because I think it would have taken the story further. In the future, it's a case by case basis. It's a thing to do, because once you have him, do something dirty to go over a guy, it puts a chink in the armor. I mean, for all intents and purposes, Gunther is Bane. Bane doesn't need to do underhanded tactics. Bane is just going to break you in half.
This was my best match of the night. Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, and for different reasons. As you said, usually we talk about every match. Oh, it's they hit the moves, they do the dance, they hit the finisher. Everything is, as I said, as DJ said. Oh, it's a Cody Rhodes match. We're just playing the greatest hits. Oh, it's a Gunther match. We're playing the greatest hits. Oh, it's even a Brock Lesnar match. They're playing the greatest hits. These two did moves that I had seen. And look, Io is probably one of the best in the ring. No matter if you're a guy or a girl in terms of creativity, trying new things. Liv did new things here. Again, we were looking at this match and worried about what could go wrong with like Danhausen and lots of run-ins and schmazes, but again, this set the tone for night one. I was happy. I was very happy. I even said this might be the best female match of the year.
I don't know about all that. It was okay. It was just kind of there. I don't think it did anything to advance any stories. Like, because this is everything everything leading up to this was like, why did we have our women's world champion in the Queen of the Ring tournament? Obviously it's because people were injured. But then you have Io go over clean in Saudi just to do the job here, not really in that much of a dirty fashion. And it's just like, it's why. It's why. Because I mean, we know the answer why. The answer is because creative team doesn't try to come up with anything else than what they already have written down. They already passed in their homework. They don't want to have to rewrite it. And their whole plan was for Liv and Stephanie to be revisited, and apparently for to bring Becky into the fold, so that we've got some names. And Io is just kind of left out in the cold there. So it's just like, why did you put her over for for the Queen of the Ring tournament if you were just going to have her do this? Like, it's just, you have nowhere to go with Io now. And Liv, they're just Liv's getting go away heat now. That after Monday, people are realizing it. They're just like, this chick is annoying, and not in the annoying heel sort of way. The annoying as in get off my fucking TV kind of way. It's the ship has sailed on her, and she's just there because because the money's in the chase. Which yes, the money is in the chase. The problem is there's been no chase with Liv Morgan. And they even brought it up because they had to. They had to acknowledge the fact that people noticed that Liv hadn't had a single title defense since Mania. Like it, the match was okay, but
I thought
it
it was
didn't
better
help
than a
anyone.
lot of the matches on the card. Again, I had it as my second favorite match outside of Penta versus Gable. Because again,
Yeah.
they tried new things. We complain like even as much as we liked Roman versus Seth, it was the same match from both men. They didn't do anything different. It's you play the greatest hits, you do the same thing. They can do it in their sleep. This at least
Mm-hmm.
we saw like holy crap, Liv Morgan tried some of Io's moves. Io did some of Liv's moves. Like this
Mm-hmm.
was usually out of their playbook. I know you're being salty, and I love you being salty here, but as a wrestling fan, forget about being a booker. Can you appreciate the fact that they didn't just do the same things? They tried new things, threw some new things there and there. Went, oh, all right, this feels different. It's like, hey, I'm adding some spice to this chicken.
Yeah, no, yeah, I can appreciate the fact that they tried some new stuff. The doing each other's finishes bit, I hate that. That's video game bullshit. I hate it no matter where you see it. But but them actually trying different stuff, like I remember during the live stream, I was like, holy shit, like I don't think I've ever seen EO do that before. Brownie points for that, absolutely, and that's why I don't think that's why I say the match was okay. I just, it's I was offended by the end. That's all. Like the match itself, fine. I was just offended by the outcome. I personally, I would have been much happier with EO winning the title and then on Raw, on Raw, Liv coming out to get in her face saying, that's still my title, blah, blah. Liv gets jumped by Stephanie. Oh my God, there's that huge return. Everybody's happy. Fight off, whatever. And then and then while EO is standing right there, EO gets blindsided by Becky, and then we've got an EO and Becky feud. I mean, am I mad that Becky's back as babyface? No, absolutely not. But I just think that you could have had you could have wrapped up the program that was happening before Steph got injured. You could have had a brand new program with EO and Becky, and we could go from there. Because Becky and Liv is not going to be a good program. I'm telling you that right now.
In a perfect world, you could turn Io back heel. She was pretty damn good as a heel, considering in her stage of career. But like
You
Randy
could.
Orton, she's become so beloved. And I get it. She's cute. She's adorable. She's made great strides in working on her English, which that was probably not easy for her.
Yeah.
She, outside the ring, you see her as this very bubbly, very just lovable person. Does she need a heel turn? Just because you look, it's like, all right, well, who are you going to feud with right now as a baby face? Like, Raquel and I like Raquel, but Raquel's still sort of in that mid card hell, so that feels like a step
Right.
down.
Right.
Roxanne Perez, it'll be fun matches, but it feels like for Io a step down.
Right. But I feel like turning her heel would just be like turning her heel just for the hell of it. Like I feel like the only thing that they could possibly do right now is put her back in the tag division. You know,
Which feels like a waste, though. It's like, oh, it's like having
it
a Ferrari and
does.
just driving it down to get to the grocery store and back.
It does, but now that your women's tag division is kind of screwed from the plan that you were going to have, you might have to. And maybe, and honestly, you could have her and Julia put together. I always said like Oscar, I would like to see Oscar and Julia together, but you could do Io and Julia, and Io could be in the mentor type role to Julia, and you could probably make something with them. At least I'm hoping.
What about option C, which is what I worry about? That they look and go, well, let's put her. You said a tag team. Let's give her Sol Ruca. Hey, let's give her a little advice. We know she's over like Rover, so let's give her one of the kids so that the kids can develop. Io can help them, and as you said, she's the ultimate band aid. Everybody loves EO, so whoever's with EO, they'll be loved as well.
I don't see it. It would be too jarring to put her with Soul or to put her with Lola. Like it's yeah, she is a band-aid, but like the stuff like with like her and Rhea as a tag team worked because they had a history and then it was the history that brought them together as friends and everything. If you were just to slap someone with her, eh, like it like that's why like at least Julia it would make sense, you know. Yoshi sticking together.
This man returned, and so again, this is one of those things at SummerSlam where you love the return, you love the ending, you hated the how it started, the four way. So it started off Sammy versus Finn Balor, and
Mhm.
yes, as DJ said, oh yeah, this feels like a Raw match. And even Evil Dose said, this feels just like belongs on TV.
Right.
And then Nick Aldis came out and said, I'm trying to be a better person, a better GM, so, and he throws Gunther in there. And Sammy's going ballistic. And then he goes, well, there's one more person. And yes, Kevin Owens is back. He is back, baby. He wins the four-way. He looks fantastic. Him and Sami Zayn have a hug, and then he attacks Sami Zayn, to which the crowd went nuts. Again, there's a lot to love about it, and as a Kevin Owens fan, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's getting that second chance because we thought his career was over.
Yeah.
I can still hate this because this just felt like, oh yeah, well, this match was gonna suck. Let's just add this, and it makes no sense. It makes sense, but it makes zero sense. So JJ, help
Right.
me out here because a lot of fans are going, oh, Chris, you're being too hard. I'm going, no, this just really just feels like they threw a bunch of crap on the wall and it made it because of the people they made it stick, but they still threw a bunch of crap at the wall.
I agree. Like I am over the moon that he's back. I'm happy he got such a warm reception coming back. That's all great. That's great. I'm happy that he gets put right back into the main event scene where he belongs. That's all great. I have no problem with any of that. But this was a bait and switch match. Gunther getting thrown in for no reason other than, we need another body, which you didn't even need another body because he wasn't a factor in the finish. So why? Like, and just, and the odd man out here is Finn Balor because they just put him over on the SmackDown. They were like, okay, we're going to try to heat him up, because he's still getting the huge reaction on the entrance. We know he can have a hell of a match. The dude has negative percent body fat. Like we could do something with him. Okay. So we'll try to throw, it's like, we'll get some people. It's like, oh, well, we've seen Sammy versus Punk. We've seen Sammy versus Cody. We've seen Finn versus Punk in that bit earlier in the year. We haven't seen Finn versus Cody. Here's some possibilities. And then it's nope. Here you go. We're going to do this because we want to do this instead. And like, if you've been paying attention to Finn Balor's social media, it's, he posted the picture of him like sitting there despondent on the stairs, like while the extra people were being introduced. And then Sami Zayn retweeting it with first time. Like, because that's, it's like you just brought a babyface Finn Balor over to SmackDown. What are you going to flip him heel automatically? Because you decided to go this route? Like, and like I said, I have no doubt that the three people involved in this match who did not win it are going to be in the Money in the Bank match. Because I've seen the way the creative team works, and sometimes when they're supposed to be dropping a dropping a bread crumb, they're dropping a loaf of bread. And this is one of those things where between, like I said earlier, how you saw what happened in the finish of Cody and Punk, and in the finish of this, four or five of those people are all going to be in the Money in the Bank match now. Because the creative team, being primarily made up of reality TV writers who don't understand how wrestling booking works, put obvious stuff out there. And I've touted like misdirection quite a bit. There's only so many times that you can I guess it's from having done this for so long. I can tell the difference between misdirection and complete obviousness, and this was just a sign of obviousness. And that's great. Finn Balor will still be in the contenders spots for the next, couple of months until Money in the Bank. But then still, like, what was the point of bringing him over? Like, I know I'm in the minority apparently that thinks that Finn deserves a title run. And I don't think he deserves a title run just because he's been there. It's because he got a shot at it and got hurt the night it happened. And they never gave the man another shot. They never gave him a chance to swim. And he's a guy who, I'm sorry, but you can't say is too old when your heavyweight title, when your world title is on a guy that's pushing 50 and Finn's only 41. Sorry. There's a chance you can do stuff with him. There is still a lot you can do with Finn Balor, even without the demon. And I just feel like he was the guy that got the short end of the stick in all of this. So I'm happy for Kevin Owens. Unfortunately, because of the way things are, we're pretty sure that the KO Punk match is probably going to happen at Worlds Collide. That's what I feel is like going to be their selling point. Because I don't see them holding it off until Money in the Bank.
Here's the other problem I have, and it's not with Owens, it's not with Zayn, it's creative again. Babyface. Because Kevin Owens, they can't turn heel right now. People just love him to death.
Right.
CM Punk, they can't turn heel because fans love him to death. Right. I get it. It's a great match, and these two again, Punk and Owens can tell a story like nobody's business. Both of them know how to work. Both of them, in theory, you don't need to use the bells and whistles of tables and ladders and chairs and
right.
You were complaining about the respect with Oba versus Brock. This just feels like, all right, we had a friendship hug with Rollins and Reigns, and then we had friendship between Penta and Gable, and we had friendship between Cody and Punk, and now we're having friendship between Owens and Punk probably, because they won't really delve into more of a smart mark stuff, because, again, they don't want to turn either guy heel, so what is the point? When did we go from, like, heel, good versus evil to now, oh, we're all friends, and it's going to be competitive? No!
It's going to be it's going to be a babyface match between Punk and KO, but I guarantee you, I am telling you right now, the story of it is going to be Punk being cocky and KO saying, I'm not your whipping boy on the indies anymore. That's what this whole program's going to be. It's going to be Punk calling him kid, calling him sport, blah, blah, blah. And Owens, I'm not the kid in the secondhand singlet from Canada who's doing jobs to you in armories and rec centers. I'm telling you right now, quote me on this.
No, I get that, but that would be better if there was more of an age gap in terms of what they've done. But I mean, again, you're talking about a guy who was a former world champion, former, U.S. champion. I mean, it's not like, again, and everybody knows, so it just feels like, well, we can't turn either heel, so let's just do a little bit of this. But it's still got to be on respect. And hey, they kind of respect each other. God damn it! When can we go back to the old? I really am just an evil SOB, and you're a good guy. And
the thing is, they could have done it. Granted, yes, Kevin Owens got that monstrous pop when he came out. Kevin Owens could have come to the ring. It's officially a 4-way. There's no DQs. He could have come to the ring, kicked Sammy in the dick, gone out, bashed Fowler's head into the fucking stairs, come back in with a chair. It literally could have been his debut on NXT, where he came out at the beginning of the night, monster babyface pop, got the win in his singles debut. Then at the end of the night, Sammy wins the title, they hug, and then he drops Sammy on his fucking head on the apron. Holy shit, monster heel. They could have done that here.
People are more ready to boo Sami Zayn because they want Sammy to be the heel now. And again,
but if he had bashed Sammy and then gone and bashed Finn in the head, it would have been established, okay, we've still got heel Kevin Owens.
Again, this feels like, again, they should turn Punk heel. They can't, so we're just going to do... I'm going to go off on another tangent. So let's just move, because we're running a little bit out of time. The final 4 matches, I'm just going to put all into one. It ends with Danhausen. So let's go First, let's go to the women's match where it was a triple threat. Why? Reasons. It was
Mm-hmm.
Fatal Influence versus the return of the Bellas and Paige. And then, well, one Bella gets injured, so we got to call an audible. Paige takes the pin.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Bella turns heel again
Mm-hmm.
and blames Paige for everything. But even though she invited Paige, it makes no sense and just feels like, well, we have to call an audible because Brie got hurt early.
I
So,
mean,
well,
we saw it was the obvious choice. It was the how I said it was the obvious choice before I said they could do something interesting. They went with the obvious choice, but apparently they fucked up because now, oh, Bree's hurt. So now you can't do anything with this whole program. You can't. You can't. Like, what are you going to do? Put Brie Bella with Lola Vice because they're both fucking Hispanic? Like, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to work. Y'all should have never tried pushing this program to begin with.
the match itself was not that good. And
Bad.
again, I get it. As Kevin Apollo says, the Bellas are money. They make money. They have a large,
Right.
non-wrestling fan base. I get it.
Right.
They're past their prime. I mean, it's
Right.
okay to say that. They're in their 40s. I'm in my 40s. They're in better shape than I am. But again, this just feels like we'll get to this Danhausen Dom nostalgia.
Mhm.
And you have three people who are still trying to figure out what they are versus three people who this is their second go around. They're probably not what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to the other match that pissed you off, which we'll get to this. We'll even the better part. Baron Corbin is your new U.S. champion, so that's the good news. That Joseph J. Alexander got his wish. We'll get rid of that furry effing belt that looks like the Game of Thrones made out with a Muppet, and that produced a belt. Yes, the bad guy won, which is good, but now, well, we're hearing reports that not only is Trick in line for possibly winning the Money in the Bank.
Not happening.
You say that, but hey, even better, which is going to piss off JJ. Little Yachty is going to stick around for a longer bit. He's signing an extension. Yes, JJ had just crashed out. Even not as bad as Chelsea winning the whole thing, but worse than Brock because, as you said, this just makes no sense. That even in defeat, Little Yachty was strong, took some bumps, stood up to Baron Corbin, and you are going, why? Why is this happening? So I'll let you
Referees take smaller bumps and go into comas. Lil Yachty takes a bump every week and comes out the following week like nothing happened. I can't. This is what kills me. Like, I get it. You're like, oh, well, it's a guy who got nominated for a Grammy or whatever, which is like kissing your cousin. Like, fucking, like, we got a mainstream. Quite literally, Yachty is their methadone for Travis Scott because the Travis Scott shit didn't work out. It's literally we've got food at home. That's Lil Yachty. This is my problem. Number one, obviously, as I've said numerous times, if you have a manager do a manager bump every time he's out there, it's not special anymore. Just like if you have a sing-along to every person's entrance, no one is special anymore. This is more. This fucker literally does bumps during promos. I don't care that you can. There's no reason for you to do it. Number two, you want to push this kid. You want to push Trick Williams as your next mega fucking star. Everyone thinks he's The Rock. No, he's the next MVP. If that's true, why does he need someone else out there to talk for him? Because he doesn't talk for him. He just stands out there going, mama, yaddy, mama. You never understand what the fucker's saying. Why is he there? Other than we need the youth and this guy's a rapper, so the youth likes rap music, right? Michael Hayes, right? Yeah. What? Yeah. young kids like that rap music. Yeah. Anyone seen my hat? Like, there's no fucking reason for him to be there. None. And it's just it makes Trick look more of a look more like a joke than anything. But hey, what do I know? And it's funny too because the moment Trick came up in the main roster, like this guy's going to be world champion, blah blah blah. This guy's the next big thing, blah 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 blah. And they tried shoving him into the main event scene when he first got there, and he floundered. So they had to pull back, and then they're like, "Well, let's put him in the U.S. title hunt." Why? Because we need to make sure he stays over. If a guy can get over, you don't need to do things to get him over. He knows how to get over. And they were like, all right, let's slap this mid card title on him out of nowhere because he was not equated into anything about that title until 2 weeks before fucking WrestleMania. And then we put the title on him. We give him this rap guy. We don't realize if we want him to be a babyface or a heel. Like, we want to make him a babyface, but after his entrance finishes, people are like, I don't really fucking like this guy. Okay, and I'm sorry, but baby faces don't have managers that take a bump every fucking show. Heels have managers that take bumps. This is not rocket science. And then they're like, well, this isn't working. I know. Let's skin a Muppet and make it his new belt. No. And then they were just like, this is, and they realized they're like, this isn't working. Take the belt off the kid. It's literally that spot in Young Rock where fucking Vince is sitting in the back and they're like, he's not getting over. All right, take the belt off the kid. Like, that's literally like Rocky Maivia. Like, except, whatever. So they take the belt off Trick. Putting him in the fucking Money in the Bank picture is not going to help him at all. You know why? Because he's got too many things working against him. And the biggest of all is the fact that he's just not anything special in the ring. Like, yeah, he can talk. Yeah, he's 6'5". Yeah, he looks like, he's got the look. But actually, no, I said he can talk. He can say catchphrases. Can he cut a coherent promo that he's not been handed written fucking word by word? I doubt it. If he can't vamp, it's gonna catch up to you. And having fucking boat fucker out there, it just makes it all the worse.
6-man tag, the Bloodline versus, I guess, the Coalition. Coalition won, which, look, I'm very happy for Solo Sikoa babyface because the guy has personality. Again, this just feels weird. Like, all right, so 3 guys who are a team looked more conjointed, less, together than 3 guys who are not a team, have never attacked together, but hey, it just reasons. So, again, I'm trying to make sense of this, and I guess it's just like, well, so LA Knight can challenge Roman Reigns because, hey, then we got nothing else. If not,
it was quite funny because I remember someone saying on 2 separate shows that, oh, the next program is going to be Roman and Solo because he doesn't want to work with people. He doesn't want to work with LA Knight. Oh, look, it looks like we're getting Roman versus LA Knight sooner rather than later. But hey, what do I know? Yeah, the only reason for them to go, like, they went over is so they could push LA Knight versus Roman, which is fine. And this is where the misdirection comes into play because you're seeing that, like, everyone thinks Solo's a babyface, and I'm telling you, he's not. It's just a good act. He can do some things that make people laugh. That's great. There's heels that do things that make people laugh. I think them getting the pop that night with the goofy shit that they and then the finish to Raw the next night with on Monday night with Jacob laying out Royce Keys, I think it's just going to play further into the big heel turn of those guys. Like, I firmly believe now that, like, when Royce comes back from injury in 3-4 weeks, like, it's going to be him just coming out and laying out, like it'll be like Jey Uso about to have a match and yeeting with little kids in the crowd, and Royce Keys just comes out and bashes him in the head with a chair and then, like, rolls him down the stairs.
You're hoping.
And that's
you are hoping that. Trust me.
I'm telling you, babyface Bloodline and War Games. I'm telling you.
All right, because again, this just screams like, well, we're going back to heel because that's what's safe, but that's a different story. We'll get to that because we're almost running out of time.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta mention this match. This is Cage Match and I finally agreed on something, which we really did. The internet and the casuals agreed on something, which that never happens. This match sucked balls. It was horrible. If I'm Dominic Mysterio and I had other options, I'd literally go Triple H afterwards to go, just release me. Get me the fuck out of here. Send me back to Mexico. I lost to a friggin' manager and a bunch of midgets. Oh, I hate
And Joe Hendry.
Oh, Henry at least is fine, but midgets who stack themselves all for a bag of monies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate this.
That was bad.
I really hate this here. I mean, again, I get it. As Kevin Owens keeps telling me, hey, it's about business, but I don't care anymore about Danhausen. This has jumped the shark, got shot, raped, violated, strangled, garroted, and even just flambéed.
I agree. You see no complaint from me with your analysis. I knew this was going to be bad going in. I had zero expectations, so you can't go below zero on my scale. I
know.
It's like this is going to be so bad.
Should Danhausen just go away for a couple months?
He should, but he won't. Like the only the only positive is he wasn't on Raw.
He wasn't on Raw with the wrestlers, but then between commercial breaks, we still saw him. And you know that he's a SmackDown guy, so he'll be
must have
on
missed
SmackDown doing something.
Oh God! So they need to. I must have missed the segments where he come out. Okay, so they need to pull back. Like they need to pull back. It's like, all right, you had two big moments within 2 weeks of each other. Like we got to pull back now. Like, and that this is where like there needs to be a serious meeting in the boardroom. You know, where Trips has to turn and go, listen, yeah, we got a bunch of merch. Now we did the ice cream truck thing. We got some merch sales there. Now we need to pull back because if we keep doing this shit, people are going to get mad. I guarantee Trips can see that. And it's going to be a knockdown drag out fight with fucking Ari Emanuel and with Nick Khan and with them where they're going to be like, well, look at the balance sheet. Look, and it's like, yeah, but if you want them to keep selling merch, we got to pull it back. Do you want, I don't even want to say that because obviously we've seen the backlash in the past year against Jey Uso where everyone's like, how the fuck does he still have job? Blah, blah. It's because he fucking sells merch. But the thing is, Jay wasn't pushed down our throats. The internet may say he wasn't.
But it's even bigger than that. Like Jey Uso could at least work a match. Jey
Exactly.
Uso is believable as, hey, if you step up to him, he can just knock your block off. He's
Right.
a former college football player. Even though Wyatt Six, as much as I hated that gimmick, you still looked and went, Joe Gacy, a.k.a. Joseph Sawyer, Dexter Loomis, Bo Dallas,
Eric Rowan. No, they look like they could fuck you up. Yeah.
Yeah, they were big enough and powerful enough where it's like, all right, yeah, they're in a fight, they're believable. They didn't need to resort to hokiness. Like, again, this isn't personal. I'm happy that Danhausen's gotten a second chance in life. Him and his wife went through some horrible stuff.
Yeah.
And look, he has maxed out everything he has. I credit to him. He's willing to take risks with his gimmick. I commend him. He's a 5'6", 150-pound guy whose finishing move is he curses you.
Right.
And again, I get it. This is pro wrestling, but Dominic Mysterio looks like an idiot. You're gonna have to really rehab him because right now he's colder than fish tater tots. And again, everybody who's worked with Danhausen has looked worse because you had to fill into, oh, the curse, oh, this. And again, when does it get to the point where he's a net negative for any wrestler, but even wrestlers will go, I don't want to work with him. Nothing against him. I don't want to look like an idiot.
The best thing they could possibly do for him right now is send him to AAA for a couple of months. At least there, his goofiness would be over. and they could hide the negatives with it. Especially like have him run rampant with the midgets down there. The Mexicans love the minis. Go do that for a bit.
Or him and
Go on, go do
Pimpinella,
that.
Escarala,
Right,
or hey,
right, yeah.
Iguana
Put
Man versus
put
Danhausen.
no, put him and La Parca together and have him do the fucking Mexico. Have fun with them for a little bit. That's what they got to do.
Poor J.D. McDonough got beat up by midgets.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
final
I
question to
know.
let you go. We don't. I doubt we'll get releases for the final numbers of SummerSlam tickets because, well, reasons. And as you and I pointed out beforehand, Minneapolis not destination city. Huh? I know it's a
Right,
nice place, Minnesota. Natives, but still, if this isn't Vegas or New York or L.A., you're not going to Minneapolis and going, oh yeah, this is a
right,
great place to take the kids or the wife or the lover.
right. Yeah.
So is SummerSlam a success if you
Oh,
were TKO?
yeah, yeah. It was. So let's just clear the air here. Number one, as I mentioned on other shows, Minneapolis paid them to be there right off the bat. So they already made money there. Okay, they didn't sell out the stadium, but they only set up for 40,000. And they sold, if not all of those, close to those tickets for both nights. So over 2 nights for a city that already paid you to sell 75,000 tickets, let's say on the low end, that's a success because that's not counting all of the merch that was sold, all of the fucking autographs that were sold at Fanatics Fest, all of WrestleCon was able to have a successful event there, which means that guess what? SummerSlam is becoming the new secondary Mania, where indies are going to start following the big four and doing shows around it on that week. By financially, all means, huge success. And that's something that quite a few people just do not want to admit. And they want to harp on they didn't release the attendance number. So fucking what? I'm old enough to remember that the only time they announced the attendance number was at Mania. And people are like, oh, well, they've been doing it for this, that, every time they go somewhere, about blah. You know something? Maybe, and this, I hate touting it, but maybe the fucking focus groups were sitting there in the boardroom going, you know something? It's really not changing our bottom line whether we actually announce the amount of tickets sold or not. Because as we saw, the last quarter's numbers just came out, and WWE once again, after expenses, pulled in $612 million in profit, not revenue, profit, net profit, $612 million in 1 quarter. So all of y'all that want to keep complaining about this, that, and the other thing, you're going to keep complaining. They're still making money.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to wrap this up. But I love having him on because sometimes whether you love him or hate him, you will pay attention to him. I give you, from Full Circle Radio, I give you trash talker, provocateur, and knowledge dropper. I give you Joseph J. Alexander. JJ, what's coming up here for the rest of the week for you? What's going on with Full Circle Radio, White Heat, and what else do you got going on for later on this month?
So the rest of the week over on the Full Circle Radio Network, over on YouTube and Odyssey. I don't know if I'm going to do a White Heat this week just because we did the full watch along both days of the weekend. We are recording our next episode of Wildcard Cinema this weekend, and we'll be doing our pull for our next episode of Cinematic Jackass when we do that. So those two things are going to be coming up at least within the next, in the next week for one, and in the next 14 days for the other. So those will be happening. I'm also working on a couple other things dropping on the network, dropping probably another mix CD and probably another fan edit soon. So just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe over on our YouTube and our Odyssey if you're there, and stay tuned for updates. That's the youtube.com/at Full Circle Radio.
Joseph J. Alexander, ladies and gentlemen, once again, always on a pleasure to have you on the show. We come back. We got a lot more going on here only on It's last call. Last call with the alcohol only on the last call podcast.com.